Circle June 10th, July 13th, and maybe September 29th on your calendars. These could very well be important dates for sports card prices. Let's dig into this. To all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends, it is another day, it is another video, and we are coming with a kind of a financy video today. Financy. It's not a word, but it is now. If you're new here, please hit the big red button down below, the subscribe button, the likes, the notifications. If you do like what you hear, we're coming out with almost daily videos on sports cards, collectibles, and we've got a little bit of a finance twist that we tie it all together with, and it's a fun time. So thank you very much for joining me here today. Also connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad and also on Twitter, the Sports Card Dad. One other housekeeping note, I will be participating in Hobbypalooza. It is an annual event done by the Bench Clear Media team. It will be, I believe, the weekend of June 24th. It's that Sunday. I'm going to have a slot. I had one last year as well. Had a really great time watching other content creators, learning from them, and also participating. It was really, really good. So definitely check that out. That'll be Bench Clear Media. It's the weekend of June 24th-ish. Hobbypalooza. I know what you're thinking, Dustin, what the heck's up with June 10th, July 13th, and your cryptic messages? It's weird.
Tales from the crypt.
Well, June 10th and July 13th are when we are going to get inflation numbers. This comes out once a month. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is where you can follow this. And as you know, we did not get very good news for the months of March and April. March, we had 8.5% CPI, Consumer Price Index, and 8.2% in April, which is the highest that this has ever been in 40 years. Not that it's ever been, the highest it's been in 40 years. So we're talking some serious stuff, and it's kind of stuff that we've been talking about on the channel for a while. What is actually shocking, though, is Janet Yellen, who is the Treasury Secretary for the U.S. government. She came out recently, and shockingly, credit to her, she said, I was wrong on inflation. She actually said I was wrong, which is an absolute anomaly when it comes to government officials. So credit to Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen, folks, has a PhD in economics from Yale University. All right. And she actually, and I quote this from last year, this is about a year ago. A year ago, she said she believes inflation would be a small risk, manageable, and not a problem. These are things that she said. Now, there's a lot of levers that are going on. There's a lot of different things going on in the world that have effects on inflation. CPI is just one of these, barometers. And so maybe, and I'm just guessing, she's got insights into other things. Maybe she thought this lever and that lever were going to counteract and it would all be fine. And look, she's got the PhD in economics. I don't have a PhD in anything. I do have a bachelor's degree, but I don't have a PhD in anything. So Janet Yellen would know more than me. But like we've talked about here, the inflation, the bit, all the money printing, the brrr goes the money printing machine. It is finally catching up with us. And the reason why I think this is important for sports card prices is because it's the overall economy in the United States that we have to watch for. And globally, it all kind of follows suit. It's all in the same position, really. I mean, even the other superpowers, globally, they're dealing with currency issues and the devaluation of currencies. So this is a big time issue. I heard today that gas in certain parts of California, gasoline, $9 a gallon. $9 a gallon. That's getting up there. And granted, the state of California taxes the heck out of gas. For me personally, here in North Carolina, it's about $4.50 a gallon, which is as high as I've ever seen it here. I've been living here for about 6 years. The last time I saw gas this expensive was actually, or not this expensive, but almost this expensive, was actually when George W. was president. And this was in 2008 during the whole financial crisis stuff. It was all happening at the same time. 2008 through 2010, gas was actually pretty expensive. I remember it being $3.50 upwards of almost $4 a gallon. And so we've been here before. But the scary part is just, does it keep on rising? Because you see it kind of rising and you're like, okay, is it going to be $5 next week? Is it going to be $6 a week after that? And that's where inflation is a big, big problem, and it has to be controlled through rate hikes, through other means, rationing. There's a few different ways to kind of tackle inflation, and none of them feel good. It's all pain. It's all pain for the public, and it is it's the result of just bad monetary policy that is finally catching up. And so the reason why I bring this up and why this is important conversation is because there's all sorts of talk all the time about sports card prices and stuff's going up and stuff's going down, and why is that and why is this? But the big picture of this whole thing is the global economy, and in the United States, we are going to get smacked. It is going to happen. We are going to get smacked. We are going to pay for all the money printing. It is coming. Inflation is just a tax that you're paying. You're not actually taxed by the IRS, but you're taxed because the cost of goods is that much higher. When food is this much higher, when gas is this much higher, cost of living, rent that much higher, and your wages hopefully are kind of going up some, but if they're not catching up, then that is a big, big problem, my friends. And so I can understand, I've seen a lot of comments where there's people commenting like, hey dude, like people aren't going to care about cards because they're going to be worried about food and gas. And I don't sit there and write back like, you're wrong, because they could very well be right. And this isn't something to where it's like, hit the panic button, but it's something to be cognizant of for everybody to be cognizant of. It might have nothing to do with the absolute card market. If we see inflation numbers on June 10th and July 13th that come out and it's 8%, 9%, or maybe it's still 7%. They keep on raising rates and it's still 6, 7%. It's still heated. It's still overheated. And the CPI, keep in mind, that's just one barometer of inflation. It's not taking into account all the other bits of inflation. This is a big reason why, and I hear this, I pay attention to a lot of the vlogs and I pay attention to what people are talking about on Facebook. What are people talking about on YouTube, channels about what's going on at shows in different parts of the market. You hear a lot about people trying to trade out or sell out of cards. I don't think it's because they just hate the hobby. Now, there are things that the companies have done that I could understand why people would be disenchanted with the hobby. I get it, but I think a lot of it has to do with just people are a little bit freaked right now. They're a little bit freaked, and I think that is actually fairly healthy. It's actually a little healthy to be a little freaked. You need to be cognizant of what's going on around you because you have to be prepared in some way. You've got to be prepared, have some sort of reserve, have some sort of strategy, and we don't know what's going to happen. So we don't, maybe this is a soft landing that the government is going to help us with, but it also could be a rocky road for the next couple years, few years, 5 years. We don't really know. And so don't get upset if, someone has an amazing series, an amazing game, and their cards don't go up maybe the way that you think that they're going to. It might have absolutely nothing to do with player performance and everything to do with the overall global problems that we're running into economically right now. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. I know that, for some of these points, I really drive them home, but it's for a purpose. And it's also part of my journey. It's part of my thinking. For my purchases, I'm being careful. I'm being careful on where I want to be and which collectibles. There's so many different options out there. And whether you think it's a buying opportunity or it's not a buying opportunity, everyone's got to make their own decisions. And I'm not just going to be as willy-nilly as maybe I did, a few years back. I'm actually going to take a look at it and say, like, do I really, really want this? What sort of upside do I see? And I've got to think about a lot of different things. I've got a family. I've got 4 kids. So keep your head on a swivel, my friends. Let me know your game plan in the comments below. I hope that you're having an awesome time, whether you're a collector, investor, whatever. The hobby, nonetheless, is a lot of fun. And the great thing about the hobby, too, is you don't have to buy $100,000 cards. You don't have to buy $1 million cards. You don't have to buy a $1,500 hobby box of Prism. You can actually do a lot of different things. There's, dime boxes and dollar boxes and different things. There are ways to collect, buy, sell cards that don't cost huge money. The hobby, what's great about the hobby is there's all sorts of different pockets to get into and different strategies on leveling up and all that. So, I know that a lot of the content is centered around massive sales and trading for this or that or whatever and blah, blah, blah. And those are really cool. I like watching and seeing other people's collections and big cards. I love the history behind a lot of the cards. Nothing wrong with that, but don't feel like you need to keep up with the Joneses on the big card buying scene. Forget about it. Forget about it. If you can afford it, great. But if you can't afford it, just take your time with this. Pick your spots. There's no rush. This is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and just enjoy your hobby experience no matter what that looks like. And you can adapt. You can be a certain type of collector that's collecting a certain thing. And you're like, what? My budget's changed. I'm moving into this. I'm going to actually try this different strategy, dollar boxes or whatever. You're going to kind of go a different route with it. totally fine. There are no set rules to this. There's not. Contrary to popular belief, you don't have to do it one way. You can do it a bunch of different ways. So enjoy your hobby experience. Guys, thanks again for coming for another video today. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.